And welcome to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, MadMikeWillEatU, my co-host, KyleHeath. This is the show where we cover this week's esports and personalities, gaming industry-related news, new and upcoming games, and technology and innovation. And what we like to do at the start of every episode is do a quick catch-up. So, Kyle, what have you been doing?
Well, this week for me, try to think. I don't know if I actually played anything this weekend. Now that I really think about it, spent a lot of time doing IRL stuff. I actually caught up on cleaning the house a little bit. It's been a while since my roommate and I have done like a serious deep clean of everything. So that was a lot of this weekend was dedicated to that, and we pretty much got it all done. So felt pretty good. Got that done. But yeah, in terms of games, I don't really especially this week I didn't play anything during the week. I'm just working on videos and just like messing about, so not really a whole lot, but hoping I get some time to do stuff this upcoming weekend because there's still some stuff I gotta finish. So looking to meet up with the guys and hopefully do some stuff. But yeah, dude, this weekend was just getting stuff done IRL, which I've been neglecting. So I'll catch up. What about you?
Well, I totally relate to that. But I had a pretty long weekend, so I flew out to Las Vegas Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning, and pretty busy day there. I went out there for a wedding that was on Friday. Very good wedding. And Saturday came back. Man, like we took the red eye too. It was rough. So we came back. We got in like really, really early in the morning on Sunday, and I like slept half the day
Yeah.
because like time change already messed me up, and then the whole red eye made it even worse. So I haven't been gaming much over the weekend, and I think what ended up happening is like when I did come back, I like Monday I played more Overwatch. I haven't touched COD, although I want to get back into it because COD has like I want to finish the campaign pretty soon.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, really, that's about it. Like Wednesday, I took a break from gaming. My birthday was on Tuesday, so I just kind of like I did play a bunch of games on Tuesday, but it's mostly just like I think I loaded up Halo briefly, play like a match of that just to see if the update was gonna crash my console. It didn't. So I played like a game of that and then went in. Yeah, it was like really not much. Just Overwatch, getting back to the swing of like working, getting into that full week vibe again. I've been doing a lot of traveling, so my sleep schedule is completely screwed.
Yeah.
So,
Well, can we get some happy birthday mics in the comments? I think they're deserved.
birthday.
If we
Thank
could get
you.
some,
I've
we can get some.
I've been getting like tons of love too. It's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah, very, very cool, man. Happy birthday. Happy belated at this point. But yeah, dude. Big week. Big week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm honestly hoping I can get into some it's been a while since I played a single player game, admittedly, so I want to do something soon. So I don't know.
Didn't
I
you
really
just get COD?
I mean, I did, and that's one of the things I was thinking about maybe checking out the
Yeah.
campaign. But honestly, I'm itching for a PS5 at this point, Mike. I want to experience God of War Ragnarok that launched this week
Yeah.
at the best possible on the best possible console because like they got a performance mode. I'm pretty sure it's 120 FPS.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, really wish I had a PS5, but unfortunately I do not at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's been getting insane reviews. If anyone's been paying attention, everyone's saying it's a fantastic game, knocked it out of the park, maybe even better than the first, which is kind of crazy. So
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
yeah,
And there's a lot of hype around it. I want to check it out too.
yeah, it's very exciting to me to see that there's still a company out there like releasing a good solid product, like
Oh yeah.
because we see we hear so
So
much,
many
especially
misses.
recently, yeah, so many misses and so many launches that it's just clear they didn't take the time and actually test things and actually make sure that they release a coherent piece of work, so to see that there is still companies out there, albeit it is a single player game. I'm sure a lot there's a lot less hurdles than say like a multiplayer or a co-op or something like that. I will say that, but there's a lot of detail in that game from what I've seen. So, I mean, hey, just the fact that I'm just excited to hear that we got some devs out there still doing great work. So, very
Yeah,
exciting stuff.
yeah, we really do. There was a game that I heard was struggling that you and I were like really amped up to check out was Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah,
Yeah, people
yeah,
saying that it was like not really what was promised or what they expected.
yeah. I mean, I've seen some kind of not like cautiously optimistic, but kind of like, there's something here, but this just isn't it yet. So it gives me hope that maybe a future iteration of, this style of Sonic game probably has potential to be great. But right now there's still, certainly with this with Frontiers, there's much to be desired. So it gets me hopeful, I guess, for Sonic, and maybe Sonic can get back to like the Adventure Battle 2 days or whatever. I think it'd be pretty
Yeah.
rad, but yeah, I heard Frontiers was certainly a mixed review when it comes to critics. So
Yeah, we'll have to see how that actually develops. But there's always DLC for these types of games now in like 2022 where we're at the point where if it just doesn't feel like it has enough content, there's too many bugs. I mean, they're sending out updates now to fix a lot of that.
yeah,
And with Sonic Frontiers, it's more of a like a story-driven game,
yeah,
campaign-driven, if you want to put it that way.
yeah,
So you can always add to it.
for sure. Yeah, I mean that's I guess the beauty of modern gaming. I mean we even have a story today that's kind of like maybe not a full comeback story, but it's at least it's at least not a bad one. So very
Yeah,
excited to get to that.
it's just such a shame when it's like the comeback stories, specifically something like Cyberpunk. Um, it took years to get to
Yeah,
that point,
yeah, definitely.
and I feel like that's gonna take years with other games. Like it took multiple years with No Man's Sky,
Yeah,
which we bring up occasionally on this podcast about how they probably had the best turnaround in gaming history.
yeah,
I think.
certainly.
Um, Maybe Halo can do the same. Maybe the game that's in the topic of discussion today could do it as well, and they seem to
Yeah.
so far.
What they're doing, I think, is a step in the right direction. We'll get
Yeah,
to that story a little later. But yeah, no, I agree. I think I I wish more games were releasing, fully fleshed out and fully tested and everything. But
yeah,
that's unfortunately, I mean, unfortunately, we just live in the era where we can push out updates at any time, so it's not crucial that they ship perfect, or like flawless.
exactly.
So
They speaking of which, let's give a shout out to the Act Man. Have you seen his video on live service?
it was actually my recommended. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. But basically, the premise is that these major IPs and developers just started calling their new games live service because they released the game essentially in beta or broken,
Yeah.
and then the live service is them trying to fix it.
I mean, yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I would agree with that. It's a solid theory.
yeah, I mean, he brings up like his videos typically come off well researched.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you can tell he puts
Definitely
time,
entertaining.
so yeah.
Yeah, he puts time into it for sure.
Yeah.
It's worth checking out.
Oh,
I would say.
show. Show.
All right, so you want to give us the rundown of this week?
I sure
What's been going
do.
on? How it's been?
Oh, I sure do. All right, we actually have a decent amount of hardware to go over this week, Mike. A little more than normal, but of course, we starting off with a little hardware. We're starting off with Razer. They're actually making a customizable PS5 controller. As the article says, is very expensive. And how expensive you might ask? Well, $250 for a controller. That's pretty up there, especially for a PlayStation controller. Without even reading the article yet, the subheader makes a pretty solid point. They're releasing a $250 controller, top of what, a $500 console, and then PSVR 2, which is like $550, and then you also have PlayStation's Edge controller, which is up for pre-order at $200. It's a little bit less. We'll get into all of that within the article. So, it says PlayStation 5 owners have yet another pricey customizable wireless controller to consider. Razer's Wolverine V2 Pro is launching today with PS5 and PC support for $250, which is $50 more than Sony's DualSense Edge, coming in early 2023. The Wolverine V2 Pro includes fewer goodies than the Edge, besides lacking rumble and active triggers, but it has some perks that some people might enjoy. Notably, the Wolverine V2 Pro has an Xbox-style analog stick arrangement, with sticks positioned diagonally instead of being next to each other. I think that's the most notable point. I'm going to scroll back up to the picture. I mean, this, like, at first glance, it's like, oh, look, it's an Xbox controller. And then you actually see, like, oh, no, it has, like, the PS5, like, touchpad. And it's got, of course, you know, the logo in the middle. And, but yeah, it's, well, like, at first glance, like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, is that an Xbox controller? And then it wasn't. So, very interesting thing there. Of note. Article says, in addition to the usual PS-specific color scheme and inputs, the Wolverine V2 Pro has 6 remappable buttons, 1 near each side shoulder buttons, and a total of 4 back paddles. This is the same macro button layout as you'll find on a cheaper $150 Xbox-themed and wired Wolverine V2 Chroma. However, mapping functions to the Pro's extra buttons requires connecting the controller via Bluetooth or to your iOS or Android phone or tablet, then launching the Razer controller app. The app allows you to set one of those macro buttons to be a sensitivity clutch, either lowering or increasing your sensitivity of an analog stick while it's held down. Very, very interesting. They have a picture, of course, of the button layouts on the back, which I'm like trying to think in the context of my hands. If that, I mean, I'm assuming it'd probably be pretty easy to hit. But yeah, it's so weird because you see all these Pro controllers, they all put the back buttons in a different orientation. So it's like it's never the same, I feel like.
That's because it's patented. Like each time they do
that
one,
makes sense.
they patent it. So that's why they're never the same.
Mm-hmm. Certainly makes sense, yeah.
I think one of my buddies bought the Wolverine, not the V2, the first version of this, and they said it just wasn't for them. And they were the type of person that would buy every single controller that came out, trying to find like the best possible controller. But hopefully this one has a better upside to it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being Xbox themed, like the positional.
Yeah, the analog
Joysticks.
position. Yeah, I mean,
Analogs.
I think either or. Like, I mean, I'm cool with either or. I don't know if I necessarily have a preference because I know originally, like when I was playing on a PlayStation and I'm just using a regular PS4 controller or 5, like, I mean, the stick layout never bothers me. Like, it's kind of just like, I don't know, I'm just used to it, I guess. But then again, any console nowadays, I'm playing. If I'm playing any console, it's definitely a PlayStation, like at the moment. So,
Yeah.
I guess I've just gotten used to it. But of note, I know a friend of the show, Zydo, a friend of mine, who we both know, he actually, I'm pretty sure he uses a Wolverine V2 Chroma. He said he really likes the Wolverine controllers. And yeah, I don't know. I think the button, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the buttons are they're actually a different style of button compared to like a default controller. I think they're I forget what it is. I think it's either because there's like the mesh style, I think, and then there's like the actual like the buttons are clicky, I'm pretty sure. Which is really weird for a controller, but
Yeah, like I did hear that. It was clicky like should be like a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, like a mechanical keyboard kind of thing.
Mechanical keyboard, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit odd. I mean, there's people that love that. I think personally, I've always loved the style and the feel of a default controller button. So I don't know. It's something I could probably get used to, but I definitely am used to the default style. Yeah, I mean, article goes a little bit more about the controller itself. But I mean, I think overall, I mean, that's kind of the gist. Seems to be a very expensive choice at a at a PlayStation 5 controller. Yeah. I will say it does work for PC too. So, I mean, there's definitely other controllers that you can also use in your PC. It's far cheaper and probably just as good. But I mean, there's some people that really love Razer controllers. So, definitely, I haven't seen your reviews of this yet. I'd definitely be curious to go and check out some reviews and see what people say. But yeah, I think for me, I'm more or less waiting for the DualSense Edge, and I want to see how that controller performs. And also, that controller
Yeah,
has swappable analogs, which is like, I mean, that's like game
huge.
changing. I feel like for some people. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out too, and like if there's going to be any like possible defects with those at all.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be my next controller, the DualSense Edge. Um, just because like I've talked about this a few times on the podcast, so you know this is I'm big on the Thrustmaster controller because it's modular and you can buy all these different attachments individually to basically do whatever you want with the controller. So it's like it can be a fighting gamepad, it can be a racing wheel almost. It can be like a first person shooter and you can calibrate it based on that. And you get like a lot of customizable features, including in the software too. The software is like really, really good. Um, I think I would have to experience the Razer's Wolverine V2 Pro to like be pulled away from the Thrustmaster.
Yeah,
Because if it's $250 for this controller, and if like I think if you're pretty serious with gaming, you're very particular about the controller that you have and the way it feels in your hands. Um, it's like any type of equipment when you're playing or doing something. You want it to be comfortable for you. So I
yeah,
would have to see like the software, see what it's capable of, and just like little things like response time, how it feels, and all these different buttons.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. I think I would definitely have to experience the controller to see what it could possibly do and if it's something I actually like. But I mean, it's an option out there. So, for those interested, it's certainly I guess something to look into.
I will say it looks very clean.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it
yeah, oh
looks
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Like it's a pretty controller.
yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I love the grips on the sides. It's got a nice like textured grip. It looks
Oh
really good.
yeah.
And it's like a black mixed with the white. I think it looks really clean. I mean, and they even see in this picture, you see those buttons that are next to the next to the bumpers. So that you can utilize for like whether it's like sensitivity swapping or whatever. So, yeah. I mean, again, I think it's something that it's something I've never used. I've seen it on those I think I've seen it on the V2 Chroma, but I have never experienced it. So, um, definitely would be curious to try it out at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that.
Are you ready for this transition? Oh, you know what else I'm
Oh, I'm
curious to
excited.
try about? Oh, you know what I'm curious to check out after a year? No, you know what?
it,
Oh, Battlefield 2042.
let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Battlefield 2042 is joining Game Pass Ultimate, and it's also going to have some free limited time windows where you can actually play the game for free in the coming months. Electronic Arts and DICE have released the latest development update video for Battlefield 2042, revealing what's next for the multiplayer shooter. This includes multiple free play opportunities to come in the future and the start of a new season for the game. Additionally, EA announced that Battlefield 2042 will join Xbox Game Pass Ultimate via EA Access, with a start of Season 3 very soon. Season 3 is going to introduce a new specialist character, a new map that is described as being one that DICE, quote, always wanted to realize, a new battle pass, more portal content, and additional events. We're only a few weeks away from the start of Season 3. This season will see us head into an all new battlefield in a location we've always wanted to realize, but haven't so far in our 20 years of creating Battlefield, DICE said in a blog post. Um,
Let's go.
Dude, they're hyping it up, Mike. Oh, they're
I'm
hyping it up.
excited, man.
Hyping it up.
I
Um,
think I was talking about it ages ago, like how excited I was for this game. Like it was gonna be the perfect storm, right? So I was kind of bearish on Halo Infinite with all the different things. I was paying attention to development. I told you multiple times, like studio heads were leaving, all the red flags were there, but I was like, there's nothing coming out of Battlefield, and I'm like so amped up, right? I'm like, Battlefield's gonna be my new game. That's what
yeah.
I was saying for the longest time. And it launches broken, unfinished, unplayable. The entire fan base is furious. Nobody's on it. It was rough. Um,
Oh man.
but there was an update. What was the update, do you think? Because it
Um,
addressed it. There was a massive update.
wasn't it like June or May?
Oh yeah, it was some. No, I don't think it was May. I think it was like June,
Yeah.
maybe June or August. But it wasn't that far away. It was probably at the tail end of summer. And what ended up happening was they updated, fixed a lot of the game apparently. Now I didn't really keep in touch. I just heard that they sent a huge update out, and I was like, ah, whatever. And they're still charging full price. That's why I was like, I don't want to care, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but then the player count on Steam was going through the roof. It's like did a complete 180. People are playing again. The fan base is back. So the fact that it's like EA and Xbox Game Pass still have that partnership where all EA access is now going to be on the Ultimate Game Pass, like I'm thrilled because this means I don't have to pay for it. I can play
Dude,
it,
yeah.
check it out, and then see if it's like a game I want to check out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This is something I think I played a little bit of the beta. I mean,
Yes.
from what I played in
So
the
did I.
beta, I mean, it was enjoyable. Like I got
Yeah.
at least a few hours. This is something I'm definitely down to like dive back into. I'd love to dive back in with you at some point and like actually
Yeah.
like play the new map and play some of this new content. I mean, the fact that this is
Ab-
free,
yes.
dude, it's just like it's a
We
no brainer, right?
I mean, it just makes sense. That it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool because didn't Call of Duty launch last year too? Because they do a COD like every year.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was like the last COD was broken and nobody played that.
Yeah, I think it was what Vanguard. Yeah, I mean, no one was
Yeah.
hyped about it, and like especially
No.
in competitive, it was like it was. I remember like the first tournament. I think was like 3 or 4 months after the game launched. Like it was yeah. The comp scene
Oh
was like
yeah.
not loving it.
Yeah, it was real rough for them.
Um,
But all that to say, Battlefield, is it back? Can we call it? Can we call it a
yeah, I
rebound?
mean, let me read this. Let me read this next paragraph. So
All
it
right.
says, with season 3 tipped to begin in the coming weeks, fans shouldn't have to wait much longer to find out more about what's on the way. EA also teased that season 4 is also in the works and that DICE is already in pre-production on quote new content to come after that in 2023. I mean, if it ain't back now, Mike, it's finna be back in
Yeah.
2023. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
I think it's back. I think it's back, man, because
yeah,
it's like, what are you gonna do at this point?
yeah,
They're already on season 3 and the game was unplayable for season 1 and 2. I commend the people that were still
yeah,
playing.
yeah. That like actually stuck around. I mean,
Oh, that
we
actually stuck around.
we heard all those rumors too of like people were like, oh, there's just a skeleton team working on this game. It's not a real
Yeah.
team. And then like the lead was like, no, there's a team working on it. And then here we are, you know, months later,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah,
proves
that's
that like yeah, people are working on it. Like,
yeah, Dice had to address it in one of their interviews. They were just like, "Hey, we want to address something. We have a full scale team working on this project.
no, like
We didn't give up on Battlefield 2042
yeah,
because they promised this as a live action game too, if you remember.
yeah, or yeah, like a live service,
Yeah,
dude.
live service. Yeah,
Yeah,
live service
it's
game.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, you know. I mean, whatever. It's a year later. It's almost a year to the day later since this game came out.
It's true.
So, I mean, the fact, I mean, if you're putting someone on Game Pass, that's already a W. Like, I mean, you're gonna have new players and you're gonna have people that just want to check it
Absolutely.
out. I mean, no one wanted to buy the game, especially or pay full price. Like, this is the perfect excuse. Like, hey, I could just download it and play it on the $15 a month subscription I'm already paying.
Yeah.
It's a huge W there. Another W is talking about the actual free play periods that are coming up in December. So literally next month, Xbox from December 1st to December 4th, you will actually get a free play period. On Steam PC, you will get a free play period from December 1st to the 5th. Then on PlayStation, you'll be getting a free play period from December 16th to December 23rd, so right before the holidays. Yeah, man, free. So you know, if you don't have Game Pass, then you know you get these opportunities to play for free anyways. So it's definitely worth just diving back in, seeing what season 3's like, and seeing if seeing what kind of progress they made in the past year. They're gonna giving everyone a free, just check it out. You know, it's a
Yeah.
very awesome stuff there.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very good if everybody can just come back because Battlefield is one of those games that depends on a large player base.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because
So
it's large scale matches, right? I mean,
yeah, it's
we're
insane.
talking like yeah, huge player count matches.
120 like 8
Yeah,
people usually.
huge
So I
map.
think some PC was like 256 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's gotten bigger
So,
and bigger, right?
I mean, let me look it up. Max players at Battlefield 2042. So on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC, it will house 128 players. Holy
Dude,
crap.
it's wild, man. More than most BRs right there.
However, on Game Rant, it says Battlefield 2042 is bringing the maximum player count of his breakthrough mode down to 64 players. So maybe they were having some difficulty with the servers, possibly. 64 is still a lot,
Yeah, I mean
but
that's still pretty crazy.
yeah.
Um,
And now Dice on their way. Yeah, it's all over the place. There are a bunch of conflicting articles right now. I think we're gonna find out at the end of the month.
yeah, for
You and
sure.
me.
For sure. We're going to find out soon, Mike. That's for sure. But yeah, there's a whole development update, kind of all the details in a video on Battlefield's YouTube. Go check it out and go watch it for the full details on that. But I want to provide you some details on a Metaverse VR competitor. But
Let's
this is a little
go.
bit of a twist. So
Yeah.
the Pimax, I'll call it the Pimax. The Pimax Portal is a Steam Deck and Quest 2 competitor all in one. What? Well, huh? Sounds kind of weird,
Yeah.
right? It's like, interesting. A Switch style console that's built for VR. I mean, you know, just play. I mean, this is an hour-long video. You think I'm gonna watch the whole thing? Of course not. But they show off some stuff here. Let me see real quick. I want to see just some visuals that we got here. Some of the actual product. They show off. Let me just pause here. I mean, we see. I mean, our cameras are kind of blocking. You can't see the full thing, but this is. I mean, this is literally a Switch from what I can see. You know,
It does look exactly like a Switch.
like almost exactly. Oh. It says physical. There's 32 physical buttons on this device. There's, I mean, I'm not gonna count them, but like, I think they're right. I mean, there's a lot of buttons here. You got triggers, you got bumpers, you got 4 buttons and an analog on one side, 4 buttons and an analog on the other side. Then you have 2 buttons above the actual analog pads, and then 3 buttons below it. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, essentially, each kind of controller is like its own thing, right?
Gonna be pressing all the wrong buttons all the
I
time
mean,
when you're
yeah,
playing.
that's what I would think too. I would not trust myself. Show off the VR headset too. The VR headset looks like looks pretty nice, honestly. I mean, it's not crazy. So this is interesting. So that controller for the Switch plugs in to the actual like controllers for the VR. It's interesting.
Okay, this is fascinating.
This is really interesting. Could this be revolutionary, Mike? I mean, I don't know.
If it works.
If it were, yeah.
If it works, yeah. That is,
I mean,
it's
I gotta
actually
say,
pretty wild.
I gotta say, the video, whoever made this video is cracked. I mean, this is insane. But yeah, it looks like there's a battery in the back, so it's cordless.
Yeah.
Very nice there. But yeah, I mean, it seems. I mean, on paper, it looks pretty cool. Oh, there's even like color controllers at one point, like little color.
Oh yeah, the
What?
LEDs
Yo,
on
that
it.
looks sick. Like, so they're showing the controllers, and there's like 6 different color options for controllers. You have yellow, blue, indigo, what looks like a teal, a pink. Wow, very cool. I can show too much more in the video, but I'll read a little bit of the article. So it says Pimax is a brand known for making high-end VR headsets with massive fields of view, and they just announced one of the most ambitious product releases yet. Usually Pimax sticks to VR headsets, but the new Pimax Portal seems to be some sort of portable Steam Deck-like machine capable of AR, VR, and everything in between. The Portal was shown off during Pimax's Frontier 2022 presentation and is being sold as the, quote, the world's first metaverse entertainment system. While many of us aren't exactly sold on the metaverse, the Portal does look like an interesting device. If it can achieve everything the company is suggesting, it could certainly be a versatile gaming machine. I would agree with that. I think it looks pretty interesting. It starts as a main body, which is a Switch-like build, featuring a center screen with magnetic controls on either side. The 5.5-inch HDR screen would be no joke, with 4K resolution that runs 144 Hz refresh rate. That's where I start to get a little like, okay. Like, you have like a little display like this, and they're claiming 4K 144 hertz. Is it 4K at 144 hertz, or is it 4K at 30 and 1080p at 140? Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah.
Gets a little weird, I think, at that point. But yeah, I mean, this is quite a little bit of a lengthy article. It says, when you're wanting some VR action, the screen portion of the Portal can slot into the VR headset, while the controllers fit into the handheld sleeves. So I didn't even realize that initially, but it's literally the headset. It's that 5.5-inch screen switch portion slips into the front of the headset, and then
Oh
that's
yeah.
what acts as the screen for the actual headset. Very interesting. Honestly, could be kind of sick. Now the screen specs got me a little skeptical. I'd have to see, I'd have to actually see it in action. But I love this concept. Like just being able to have like a switch and then turning it into like a VR experience. Kind of like that. It says there's two types. There's actually two types of it says devices that purpose designed to use two types of lenses are included with the kit. One for gaming with 27 ppd resolution and 100-degree field of view. The other is designed for more movies, offering 40 ppd and a smaller 60-degree field of view. Very interesting. It's like I guess different options there. But overall, sounds very interesting. It says while it will debut on Kickstarter presale on November 15th, the Portal is going to market starting at 300 USD, with the most expansive version currently listed at 600 USD. There's clear potential for this machine as both a hybrid portable console and a VR system, but with claims so big, I need to see it in action first. And I agree with the person that wrote this article over at PC Gamer, Hope Corrigan. I agree with you. I think I would need to see more. However, the concept is very fascinating and very interesting, and definitely something I don't think anyone's thought of yet. So I'm definitely very curious to see more. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Like a Switch VR, meld them together? Oh, dude.
Oh, I think that's totally doable. I really do. But the specs that they're giving, I mean, man, it's kind of insane. Like,
Yeah,
so I'm on their official website right now, and they're talking about an 8K headset.
dude.
Like,
I,
what?
I,
8K at 90 hertz.
yeah, that is wild, man.
Like, is that even possible?
I,
Or 8K at 110 hertz refresh rate?
I mean, yeah,
Like,
dude. Right now, I don't think it's
with
possible
the
right now.
GTX 1060, you're trolling.
You're trolling. Oh, dude, especially that kind of
GTX
card, you are
1080 Ti.
trolling. Like, there's no
Well,
shot.
that's they're saying that's the minimum. So I'm wondering if it's just like, man, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell what they mean. But I mean, the 8K version's going for like $1,000, and the 5K version's going for $490. I wonder if I can buy this right now. Let's give it a shot.
We're gonna check
Like,
out
let's
live. We're
see.
just drop $1,000 on the podcast.
Yeah,
Live
5K
right
plus. This is a write-off. Uh,
now.
tax write-off. I mean, it looks like it'll take my money.
That's
15
interesting.
day returns. Hmm.
So we get it, do a YouTube video, and then send it back. There you go. That's the plan.
Unless it's coming from like China, then it's gonna be like 2 months to get to us.
Very true,
Let's
very
see. It
true.
looks like only available in EU and United States. Okay, I mean, okay. I don't know, man. I really don't know what to think here because it's this is one of those things where I feel like a tech YouTuber is probably gonna buy and give a full rundown.
Definitely, yeah.
Like this would get a lot of views.
Yeah.
8K virtual reality headset. Check it out. We got the new one, less than $1,000. You say that, I mean, people are showing up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, it's crazy. Crazy claims. Dude, I love this concept though. I'm all for like, Switch imitations, especially if they're like decent. Like, I'm all for that style. So, hey,
yeah,
man.
I, I think the whole like portable setup and everything like that, that's such a good idea. I really do think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how they're doing this like resolution stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I am too, honestly. It just doesn't sound possible, but and I don't know. I haven't heard too much.
Who
I mean,
knows?
this is the first I've heard of Pimax. says they, like you were
Same.
saying, they've done other like VR stuff, so that was kind of their mainstay. But I don't know, dude. It sounds pretty interesting. I would definitely be keeping an eye out. But yeah, I mean, I think in the future though, stuff like this is definitely possible, especially like those resolutions, which is exciting. You get up to 8K, it's like how are you distinguishing that from reality, dude? Like it's so high resolution. So
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like another one of those like crazy Kickstarter campaigns that just doesn't add up.
yeah,
Seen so many of
yeah,
these.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll be waiting to hear more. You you
Same.
know
Yeah.
you know what's out right? Well, I don't know about right now, but very soon that is definitely real.
uh, I think it might have something to do with like a multi-billion-dollar company producing a couple of things that we can buy. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes, that is right.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay. What is it?
was this was a story that dropped last Thursday, but for those that remember, we recorded the show on Wednesday, so we just missed this article. But I feel like it was worth covering this week. That is AMD. They announced their next gen RX 790, 7900, sorry, 7900
Yeah.
XTX and the 7900 XT GPU starting at $900. And they're launching December 13th, month away, not far. RDNA 3 is here and it brings AMD's chiplet architecture to gaming GPUs. The company's promising big improvements in 4K performance. Let's read a little bit further, shall we? So, AMD announced the next generation of graphics cards, the RX 7900 XTX and 7900 XT, which are the first cards powered by its new architecture RDNA 3. That means that they use a chiplet design similar to the company's Ryzen processors. Both cards are set to launch on December 13th, with both AMD's reference cards and board partner models set to ship on that date. The 7900 XTX will cost $999, and the XT is $100 cheaper at $899. That represents a significant price jump compared to what the previous gen cards are currently selling for. The top spec 6950 XT retails for $849, while the base 6900 XT is $679, though they launched at $1,100 and $1,000 respectively. Quite a drop there. Nvidia's RTX 4080, however, starts at $1,200, while the 4090 is an eye-watering $1,600. God, dude, these cards are getting expensive, Mike. I won't cap. You know what I'm saying?
They're getting crazy expensive.
Oh, they're getting pretty pricey, and they're getting just pricey in space real estate in my actual tower too. So
Yeah,
it's
facts.
it's unreal, man. There's been a lot of buzz around AMD's next generation of cards, with people waiting to see how it would answer NVIDIA's latest RTX 4000 series GPUs, especially considering that Intel's newly released GPUs aren't really a high-end contender. I know we covered those, but yeah, those are very much mid-level cards. Like maybe
Yeah.
something or like 3070 or something like that. So about these cards, the RX 7900 XT XTX is the company's flagship, which is pitching as its cards for 4K gaming. That's up to 1.7 times faster than the existing RX 6950 XT card at that resolution. It has 96 compute units clocked at 2.3 gigahertz and 24 gigs of GDDR6 memory with an up to 384 bit bus. I know it's a lot of like probably stuff people don't care about, but yeah, like, but AMD appears to be focusing on performance per watt here, with the board power at just 350 watts compared to the 450 watts that the RTX 4090 demands. AMD might have an efficiency advantage here, though it does not use more power than NVIDIA's stock RTX 4080. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of an edge there against NVIDIA's card.
Yeah.
That is for sure. The 7900 XT's less powerful option has 84 compute units running at 2 gigahertz, 20 gigs of GDDR6, and it's powered at 300 watts, even a little bit less. It says the company said they're using GDDR6 instead of GDDR6X for both cards, mainly because it uses less power. You won't need to use any special power connectors or adapters, as both cards will require 2 regular 8-pin connectors. NVIDIA opted for a new 12 VHP-WR connector for its 4090 and it's had problems with those melting, We didn't
Yep.
report that, but that was a finding. It
Yeah,
was,
it's a major
melting.
issue.
It's like melting and bending, and it's not quite not quite doing the job. Which the company is still investigating at the time of writing this article, which is a week ago. But yeah, the company's also they're promising a lot with RDNA 3, up to 54% jump in performance per watt compared to RDNA 2, which used a much more traditional GPU design. AMD says it's capable of producing up to 61 teraflops compared to RDNA's 23 teraflops. Though it's worth noting that these numbers aren't always comparable when you're talking about different architectures. That means we probably won't be able to use just the numbers to directly compare consoles like the PS5, Xbox Series X, and Steam Deck, which use RDNA 2 to the company's new PC GPUs. Yeah, makes sense. There's crazy there. At 4K, AMD is promising 62 FPS on Cyberpunk 2077 and the 6900 or the 7900 XTX card with ray tracing and AMD Fidelity Effects Super Resolution FSR enabled. Company says the new compute units have next generation ray tracing tech, which provide up to 50% bump in performance compared to its last gen cards. Still, that's less than what we've seen on the RTX 4090 at 4K with DLSS 2 or DLSS 3. So it looks like the 7900 XTX is positioned more to compete with NVIDIA's RTX 4080 instead. NVIDIA still got the edge there. It sounds like it's still got the crown, but
Yeah.
but yeah, there's tons of more stuff. The esports setting, like esports titles at 1440p. It says max frame rates on the 7900 XTX for Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, and Valorant with 300, 600, and 833 FPS. I mean, if you're playing a competitive game, either option sounds like it's gonna work, right? But yeah, it said this is all these frames. It was paired with the Ryzen 9 7950X processor and 32 gigs of RAM on an AM5 motherboard. So it's all new specs. It's the all new gen that they tested the graphics cards on. So, yeah, dude, that's kind of wild. It says
Yeah.
it says at 4K, the company says that the cards can hit 295, 355, and 740 FPS with these games. Oh man, no surprise there. I mean, obviously they're competitive titles, so they're built for optimization. But yeah, I mean, I just threw a lot of numbers at you, Mike. What are we thinking about these cards?
AMD go fast.
Amen.
That's basically what we're thinking right now. The new AMD cards with the new architecture seems to be a success. From the numbers that they're giving us, right? It's only a matter of time until it gets actually into the public,
Yeah.
and the early adopters are going to have to deal with uh, some software issues and bugs probably along the way. Like if somebody has a bit of an older motherboard or there's not a BIOS like compatibility with these cards, then you might have to deal with that. Um, but I mean, it looks promising. It really does. It's really good to see AMD in particular as a overall brand and company competing with Intel on the CPU side, but also hitting, I would say, more of a niche market when it comes to Nvidia because Nvidia has such like a big market share when it comes to GPUs right now.
Yeah.
I think, like, at least for people that are enthusiasts at the bare minimum, um, AMD's still successful in like consoles and stuff, but that's a different story. I think it's good. I think it's overall good. I want to see the like one for one comparison and like price to performance and size. I think size is now like physical dimensions are now one of the main things that we need to be paying attention to
Yeah.
because like can your PC can it hold it physically in the case, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's also worth noting too that FSR, I think, similarly to DLSS, there's actually for the
Yeah.
games that support it, there's a pretty decent bump in actual like frame rate. I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest example here, they show a chart with high refresh rate 4K gaming on COD Modern Warfare 2. I mean, there's no exact numbers. It says the max with FSR is with FSR enabled is 306 FPS, but it seems like it cuts that in half when it's not enabled. So there's definitely some stuff to be gained there with their technology. I think my biggest takeaway from this article is that like I'm finally at a point where like I would be pretty satisfied with like an all AMD build. You know, like if I was to just go with like the AMD
Oh yeah,
chipset and the AMD graphics card, like I'd be pretty content, and like it performs
yeah,
pretty well. Like either way you go. So I mean, it's more. No, I mean, just like when Ryzen dropped and it was super competitive. I mean, we're at a point where you could go either way, and then I think most people would be satisfied with either or. So
yeah.
that's really good to see.
I think so too. I think the issue that we're gonna start getting into now is like, which it was an old issue, but it's coming back. Like when it comes to gaming, at least I should specify, is the monitors. I don't think there's that many options when it comes to monitors right now.
Yeah,
So if we can get a little bit more variety there and those prices come down and just make this all more affordable, that'd be pretty sweet.
yeah,
Because
for
it's
sure.
this is really cool because it's like you can, if no matter what your budget is, you can now get to the point where it's like you can build something that's going to be good. Like I think this is a perfect time for people to get into like PC gaming,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean, it gets. I feel like every year it's like I think the same thing too. It's like it has to be a pretty good year to get into PC gaming, and it's like
Yeah.
we're seeing steady improvement and like steady optimization, and yeah, I mean it only gets better and better every year. So, but yeah, we're at a good spot. I mean with AMD, AM5's out, so we are seeing like that performance there, the performance boost, and DDR5 RAM and these new
Yeah.
graphics cards. I mean, I think I feel like it's going to get to a certain point where it's going to come down to like these companies competing with size, the actual size of their cards, and it's
Yeah.
like, and we're gonna see the mid or like the yeah like the mid 2010s era of trying to make phones smaller. Remember, like every company was trying to make the thinnest phone. They're gonna
Yeah.
try to make the
Now
smallest graphics card now.
that's a good point.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's a good prediction, I think.
Um, yeah, I mean, because dude, these cards are it's getting to a point where they're obnoxiously big. So like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that's gonna be a big thing. I think it's a big thing that they really need to start focusing on is how can the next generation cards like be space efficient? But to I mean, I don't know, to a certain extent, it's like they're not gonna. I don't suspect anybody to release another card. Um, Putting performance to the wayside just for the size of the thing. I think it's going to be like, oh, well, I guess people are just going to have to start adapting to buying like full ATX towers and like these huge cases just to fit a graphics card. I mean, I hope it doesn't
that's
come to
such a
that, but
big
it's a possibility.
that's such a big ask. Such a
Um,
big ask.
so I'm saying, like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'll be really curious to see how many people actually buy like 40 series and these next 7900 XTX and like how the consumer appreciates like the size and whatnot because I mean they're getting so big in most cases just simply can't fit them at this point. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I think
rather
that's pretty
crazy.
fair. On like another note, something to just add on top of everything is these graphic cards and all this hardware is just getting there's so much more coming out. Like every generation gets so much better, and the price of the older generation starts dropping. I think we're like our next bottleneck is probably going to be the game itself
Yeah,
with like how well optimized it is for these graphic cards and all this other equipment, but also like the visuals of the games themselves,
yeah,
you know? Like I think 4K is plenty. You're really not going to notice much of a difference between 4K and 8K
I would
in
agree.
in today's gaming.
Yeah,
But we talk about it so many times. What's on the horizon? What new
Unreal
game
Engine
engine?
5, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So I think what it is now, it's like Unreal Engine 5 is gonna 100% utilize all of this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean that's the big thing. I mean, yeah, I think I would agree to a certain extent. Like hardware. I feel like hardware is starting to outpace software in terms of like
Yeah.
graphical fidelity. But Unreal Engine 5 could change that. So until we actually see games, launch with it, and we
Yeah.
see some AAA titles, it's going to be hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, there's really like when it comes to this kind of technology, and this is pretty much in every bit of manufacturing processes. It's like the software is probably the thing that has to be developed the furthest possible way. So for like game development, it's the actual game being built itself. But the one bottleneck that's like almost impossible to get over is the materials you use, because there's only a finite number of materials that you can actually use to create something and make sure that everything works.
Yeah.
Unless you go and you like go and make or discover a new element on a periodic table, which is possible, by the way. But it's like, is it doable to the point that it's going to be better than what we're using right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So eventually, we're
Yeah.
going to come to a breaking point.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna come to a bottleneck. Best case scenario, there's like a hadron collider in like Sweden that like they discover some new element and they're actually able to harness it and use it. Because like I feel like for the most part, like all these like scientists that are sitting there like, like actually slamming electrons together and creating an element, it's like it exists for like a nanosecond. So they can like take the
Yeah,
data and that's it. Like they can't make
that's a
it
good
again.
point.
So yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree though. Like it's getting to a point where we're just gonna be bottlenecked by our resources. And there's not really much we can do. And the
Yeah,
only, because we're seeing it now, the only way to improve these cards and get better speeds is to literally make the physical object bigger, so we can put more circuits and more like stuff on it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and
We
it's just
need
gonna,
like it's a
yeah,
cooling issue too.
yeah,
Like it could be a cooling issue too. This is what happened with cars. Like cars became gigantic,
yeah,
absolutely huge, like V12 engines, stuff like that. And then like slowly but surely, as time has gone on, people started to realize let's become more efficient. Oh, okay, it's not really like the horsepower that we need. Maybe we need a little bit more torque. Then you start getting these like four-cylinder inline engines that are super small in a car that weighs virtually nothing now.
yeah,
It's like in comparison to what they were in the '60s when they're all made of steel,
yeah. It's like,
it's like you're driving a boat, and now you're basically driving around a go-kart,
yeah,
you know? Like your stock
yeah,
Honda Civic is coming with like 250 horsepower and the engine is could fit in like on a bed and no issues. It's fine.
yeah. And it's
It
got
was like 30
turbo.
years ago. Yeah, and a turbo kit in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
crazy, man. I think if I remember correctly too, the 40 series, like the 4090, like the reason it's so big is just because the actual like cooling unit has to be so
yeah,
big to actually
that's
compensate and
exactly
keep
right.
the PCB cool. Which is like,
Yeah,
dude, they need to, if they shrink that and they did figure out a way to do that, like shrink that would solve that bottleneck, but it's just a matter of if they can actually like find a way to cool that more efficiently.
yeah, one of the things I never really understood is why don't they have cooling on both sides of the cards? Like,
Yeah,
why is
that's a
that
good point.
not a thing? Like, why don't you have like you could have your capacitors on one side, and then you can have the chip on the other side, and then have two heat sinks. So it'll be thick, but it's like if you're dispersing evenly up and down. I mean, there's so many different things you could do.
I mean, if anyone at NVIDIA is listening, dude, at MadMikeWillEatU on everything. I mean, hit him up, dude. Like,
Yeah,
let's
I
go.
mean, I'm just brainstorming though. That's my engineer mind got in the way right there. So that's
Hey,
just
dude.
stuff like I
Yeah,
naturally think about it. It's literally heat transfer in a heat sink.
yeah.
Like it's not complicated. It's about just making it more efficient. You're gonna need a better heat sink, but then the price goes up, and it's like, oh, you gotta hit a certain price point.
Dude, that's the thing too. The price is getting ridiculous on these. So, oh
I
man,
I
you
think they're
can't.
gouging the price, man.
You think
I
so?
think
Yeah.
they
I mean,
are.
yeah.
I think they are.
I could agree with
I
that.
think they
Yeah.
are.
It's
I think they discovered how much people are willing to spend on their existing hardware during that 30 series, during the whole like
yeah.
terrible
Yeah.
events that have been happening in the world for the last 2 years. Um, Maybe not terrible, unfortunate is probably the better one to be a little bit more positive about it. Um, it's just I don't know, man. I don't know where to go from here. Like, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen with the prices?
Yeah. Yeah. We really don't know. I think. Yeah. I'd be very curious to see Nvidia's profit margins. See like what they're actually taking, like what they're actually putting in their pocket from selling a card, as opposed to
Yeah,
manufacturing costs. Because yeah, it's probably a pretty huge margin. So
we'll have to see.
I'll have to see, dude. You know what we could see
But
this week? This is the
oh,
last article. Like this is the
oh, it
last one
is.
this week. Last
It's my
one.
favorite company of my childhood, I think.
Oh yes, sir.
Besides
Nintendo.
McDonald's. Oh.
McDonald's.
Mickey D's,
All
let's
right.
go.
Nintendo did another World Showcase and did another Indie Showcase this month. This is actually this past week. They did it.
Shout out to indie devs.
Shout out indie devs. There's a lot of games they actually showcased. Show a quick preview, little preview of everything. There's a narrative cooking game that was announced. And it was called Venba. So it says Buy-Side Games Venba. And it just looks like a fun little like family cooking game. Looks pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's very I love the art style. Very
I
cartoony.
love all the art style in all of these. Like, there's just
Sick, dude.
something. There's some slight thing about art styles, real quick. We're gonna go a little bit off brand, like off topic, but I feel like it's necessary because art and video games go hand in hand, right?
Yes.
Um, Animation styles from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and just like seeing that they're hand drawn and going from like spread to spread and stuff like that, not animated. There's something special about that, I think.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't look as real, but I feel like it's more engaging. How do you feel about that?
I agree with that totally. The most recent iteration of something like that comes to mind is Cuphead. Like they actually
Yes.
hand drew and animated that game, and you can
Yes.
tell. Like it took forever to make, but
For sure. Yeah.
but it's beautiful. Like you play that game and it's like, dude, this is like you could tell they took time with it. So you could tell it was hand drawn. So it's like crazy to think about too how like they do these boss battles and they have to hand draw all these different versions of each character to make sure they like cover everything, you know?
Yeah.
Kinda
And they
crazy.
have to stay like super consistent with it too, because if you mess up a little bit, it's like sometimes you can get away with it, but when you mess up, it's like it kind of takes the viewer out of it.
Yeah.
But all
Yeah.
these Nintendo ones, man, like that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like it has that old animation style,
Yeah.
that 90s, 80s
Yeah.
cartoon vibe.
Yeah.
It's real cool.
Dude, I mean, also homage to Cuphead. That the fact that that game is like super challenging and actually like it
Yes.
like the fact that there's actually some difficulty to that game, I think even adds to it. Because like not only does it look great, but like I mean, you're gonna be spending a lot of time like dying and stuff, so you might as well have something like pretty to look at. You know what I mean? Like it's
Exactly, yeah.
it's awesome, yeah. Goodbye World is the next game they showed. Um it says it's another one of those games about games. So, specifically, it's a pixelated narrative adventure. It's about two friends looking for a perfect idea for their next game. Um, and looking at the actual trailer, sure enough, it looks just like that. Um, I see a lot of these games, and we'll see this a little later on too. There's a lot of these games that have that Stardew Valley kind of like pixelated Pokemon art style kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I see that a lot, but this is another one. Just like that. Have a Nice Death. I love the name of this game. I just have to say.
Looks
Awesome
like you're a
game.
reaper.
Yeah. Developer Magic Design Studios. Have a Nice Death has been out for 6 months now, and the 2D action roguelike is finally making its way to Switch. So it's a game that's been out for a while. I mean, dude, just look at this platformer, dude. Look at this roguelike. Doesn't it look sick?
It's so nice.
Oh, it looks
It's
nice.
so sick.
Yeah. Combat stuff looks like, bro. I always admire these like platformy kind of like roguelikes like this. They always look sick. I mean, hey, you can play it on your Switch now. Very exciting stuff there. I'm gonna so this is AKA. I'll just say. I was gonna say I like when I was originally reading, I was like Aka, but like it's probably AKA.
It could be Aka.
I love the description too. It says it's by developer Cosmogato. Is a low key small open world game. That's how they coin it. With one singular goal, and that's to help the retired warrior Aka. I'm just gonna say there's no dots between the AKAs. I'm just gonna say Aka. Helping this person, helping this what looks like a fox find inner peace on an isolated island paradise. So it looks like a little resource. You know, dare I say Stardew Valley? Like it looks like kind of a
Right.
resource. Like
I see the inspiration.
yeah, definitely some stuff there. But it's not just that. I mean, there's like it's not like a rhythm game or something. Um, he's like swimming. Okay, this is adorable. I just have to say.
It is.
Watching
It
it.
is. This seems perfect for like a family game.
Yeah, for sure.
They ended on him napping on top of what is that?
Is that what are those
Alright, that
called?
was adorable.
I forget what these are called. Name for 'em.
It's
Um,
it starts with a W, I think.
I thought it was a C. Tripping.
Oh no, it is a C.
I was gonna say chupacabra, but that is definitely not it.
Chupacabra. No, it's an island. It's like an island guinea pig.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Gosh, the name is leaving me. Anyways.
I wanted to say Calcutta, but that's a literal place.
Yeah. Anyways,
Uh,
next game, the Pepper Grinder. Love this name too. It's a fast-paced 2D action adventure game. It puts you in a treasure hunting shoes of Pepper, who's been shipwrecked and robbed. Now with a trusty drill in tow, you must reclaim what was stolen from you by digging through the terrain. I mean, this thing looks sick, man.
it does. It's super fast paced. It looks like intentional, very simple.
Yeah,
It
it's very
kind of
puzzly too. I like this.
yeah. It actually gives me the vibes of speedrunners
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in a way, just like based on the speed at which they go. Um, and like just like there's different elements in the environment that pick you up and throw you
yeah,
or shoot you like a cannon. It's
yeah,
really cool. It
yeah.
looks like you got boss fights too.
Yeah, there's like secret areas to find. There's
Yeah,
and it looks like there's specific ways you have to traverse. So like kind of had to think outside the box a little bit. Makes you think. But yeah, it looks like an awesome game.
I could see this having like a time trial element to it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Oh, show. We see Coffee Talk. This is apparently the second episode in the series. Um, but yeah, it says sequel to one of the author's fave narrative barista games. um, yeah, very yeah. I mean, it just looks like you're barista. I love the dude. What is up with these art styles, man? Indie's just like out here. I don't know how else
That's
to
what I'm
say it.
saying, man.
Just out here, bro. These interesting looking games. Um, but yeah, it says with the expanded drink menu and even more robust cast of characters, this looks to be a relaxing visual novel with a vibin' lo-fi soundtrack. Okay, I can get behind that. Give me some lo-fi, I'm in. No, um, very,
Lo-fi is pretty chill.
very cool stuff there. Oni, Road to be the Mightiest Oni. It says coming from the tag team developers at Kenai Design and oh man, I just why do I try, Mike? You
Shueisha.
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Shueisha.
Shueisha. That's probably it. Shueisha. It says this is about a demon warrior who, after getting his ass whooped, that is the quote of the article, by a Japanese folktale hero, joins forces with the spirit to become stronger than before. You control both the demon warrior Kuta and the spirit Kazumaru simultaneously, using the club to bludgeon enemies so that Kazumaru can suck up their souls for power. Very interesting, very interesting description. We see the game.
Everything about it's giving me like Samurai Jack vibes mixed with Wind Waker.
Yeah,
Zelda Wind
yeah,
Waker.
it
Like
does.
it gives me those vibes.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very kind of Wind Wakery, like Breath of the Wild type of vibe.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. I think it's totally Nintendo, is
Yeah,
what I'm
for
really
sure. Yeah,
saying.
definitely. Yeah. Do you love that art style? Want to check out? Desta, The Memories Between. It's the next announcement. It says Alba, a wildlife adventure, and Monument Valley creators. Us Two Games is back with another character-driven narrative adventure that has some roguelite elements to it, and Desta, The Memories Between. Play as a euphonious character. I don't know if did I say that right, Mike?
I think so.
I think so.
Euphonious? Yeah.
Euphonious, who enters a mysterious dream world filled with scattered memories every time they fall asleep. Um, and just look at this again. Do I say it again? Art style, like insane. Um,
Yeah.
it looks actually really
I'm
great. It gives me like a kind of like a cyberpunky vibe, like with like the characters and stuff.
yeah, it does.
So very interesting stuff there. We continue on. Space for the Unbound. This looks like a story game, just off the landing photo that they have.
Oh, it's very much a story
Oh,
game.
it is very much a slice of life adventure set in late '90s rural Indonesia. Yeah, slice of life. You already know you're going to high school. I mean, this is if you watch any
Yep.
for all the anime people out there, you watch a nice slice of life. You're back in high school. That's all that is. So, yeah, gives me it kind of gives me like the was it the Final Fantasy vibes, like the text, the pop-up text, and like the weird
Yes.
like animations.
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's like I don't know anything about any of these indie developers, but from a general consensus of the trailers that we've been showing, they're definitely taking inspiration from probably their favorite games, right?
Yeah,
Like we're seeing elements from like Wind Waker, like obviously Zelda is one of the biggest ones ever, and it's really cool to see. And you just mentioned which game? Final Fantasy.
yeah,
It's
kind of
like
like a Final Fantasy vibe.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. The next game, Dordogne is how I read that. I don't know if that's right.
Dordogne, I think,
Yeah,
and that might be a
Dordogne,
French. That might be a French word. Let me see if I can find it while you give the
perhaps.
breakdown for him.
This is an adventure game about Mimi, a woman searching for her mysteriously forgotten childhood memories. You play Mimi in the past and present to reconnect her to herself as she returns to her grandma's home, only to find a series of letters constructing a dude, what is that? Face smile? That's like a simile? A simile? I don't know, dude. A facade? I don't know, dude. Um, anyways, you're essentially just trying to piece together your childhood memories, based off letters and stuff. Play a little bit of the actual game itself. Um, oh my, yeah, I immediately get hit with like children's book vibes when I see these like clouds, like how they're drawn, and like
Oh yeah,
this is like straight out of like a kid's book.
I mean it's all like, isn't it called like water paint or something like that?
Yeah,
Pastel
yeah,
paint
it
or
does
like
look
I
like water.
forgot.
Yeah, like watercolors. Definitely does look like that. Another story
Yeah, it's
game.
called Dordogne. Dornia?
Onya,
Nia?
Onya.
Nia, like GNE is Nia. It's actually French, pretty sure. It's a
I
place.
see. I see. Well, next up is Botany Manor. I can only assume you're taking care of plants and garden around a manor. Just seeing the actual landing. Um, sure
It's a
enough.
cool world.
Ooh. Okay, I like the world. Watching a little bit of the trailer, it's very kind of pastel-y kind of um vibes. Nice. So if you ever wanted to be a master gardener, developer Balloon Studios has you covered with Botany Manor, an exploration adventure puzzler. Botany Manor puts you in control of Arabella Green, a retired botanist with a massive estate all to herself. His name suggests this game is all about taking care of your huge garden, tending to your leaves, propagating seedlings, solving plant-based puzzles, that sort of thing. So there you go. Want to take care of a garden? You know what's in right now? You know what's always been in, I feel like?
Farming.
Farming. Yes, like farm simulators, power wash simulators, gardening
Oh
simulator.
yeah.
Like I feel like this falls under
Manual
like
labor is
yeah.
in season. No, that could definitely be instant gratification, not gratification, instant satisfaction. What am I trying to say here?
It's
When you do some
satisfaction,
it, yeah, satisfaction. Yeah, but it's
maybe.
like when you do something you can like physically see what you've done as complete. I guess it is gratification, right?
Yeah, yeah, gratification.
Like instantaneous. So it's like when you go out and you do something, you turn around and it's just done. That's exactly what like power washing is, or like
Power
PC
wash simulator.
Builder,
Yeah,
or any of these games.
yeah. It was kind of crazy. I power washed my dad's driveway, like a little bit of his driveway the other day. I
Yeah.
did power wash simulator in real life. Dude, I was about to finish the driveway. Not gonna lie. Like I
Yeah.
like started and I was like, I don't want to stop. Like it's actually really
Yeah,
nice.
it's like you got to get it done, man,
Like
because
and
it
you
looks
just
so good.
yeah, like you literally see the changes happening before you.
Yes.
Like that instant kind of feedback is crazy. It's wild.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like some of these games are absolute hits because
Yeah, because
people
it's just
need
like,
that.
oh, dude, so good. But Once Upon a Jester is the name game. Once Upon a Jester is a casual adventure game about improvising a theater show to get invited to the royal theatrical spectacle in the royal palace. Very interesting description there. You're literally a jester, quite literally. Like drop you in, 16th century England, and you're trying to, um, trying to get to the main show. Um, again, very. This guy looks so sad. The jester, he looks so sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Dang.
For whatever reason, jesters in like from medieval times are usually portrayed as somebody being very, very sad. I think it's the Shakespearean character. The person that gives you joy is usually the saddest one in the room.
No, I mean,
I feel like that's a thing. I hope I'm
I
not
mean,
making that
I
up.
think it's accurate to be honest. So
Yeah.
agree with it. Um, guess what, dude? Rogue Legacy 2 is the next game. Launching on Steam earlier this year, developers Cellar Door Games. Rogue Legacy 2 is a roguelike. Metroidvania, when every run is different from the last. It could be a dwarf with vertigo 1 minute or a giant who can't jump the next. The goal is always the same: collect riches, fortify your castle, and establish your legacy. All of your upgrades transferring between runs. Rogue Legacy 2 will also be available later today on the Switch. Release comes with tons of new items and subclasses. You could go probably now. At the time you're hearing this, download Rogue Legacy 2. I've actually heard a lot about this game, so heard people love it.
Actually, yeah. I haven't, but I mean, the gameplay looks polished. It looks clean, man.
Yeah, it does.
Looks real good.
For sure. Yeah, I've heard rumblings about this game, so it's on Switch now. Awesome. Blank is the next game. A monochromatic adventure game about a wolf cub and a fawn. It says Blank tells the story of two animals who must rely on each other to navigate a vast snowy wilderness. This is going to be adorable. I mean, I'm just going to call it now. I mean, look at this. Dude, like
Wow.
like you don't see many things that are monochromatic. God, this is beautiful.
It looks so cool, man.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever? Is it Line Racer? I think it might be Line Racer. Let me see. Let me look this up. Line Rider. Have you ever seen the website Line Rider or the app?
Don't think so.
Okay, that's a trippy game too. But basically, like the reason why I'm bringing it up is people. The idea is you just draw a line in an open canvas, and then you get a guy that's like in a sled and he rides it. That's literally all Line Rider is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So what people would do is they would create the line and then they go through and they would draw everything. And it would take like sometimes these rides would be like 5, 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And the detail people put in, very similar to Blank. Very similar. Where it's just everything's just like, yeah, it's monochromatic. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm all about this.
Dope style.
Yeah.
Next up, we're almost at the end actually. There's only 2 more left. So next up is a little to the left, a cute and cozy puzzler. Little to the left is all about finding satisfying puzzles hidden among household objects. So yeah, I mean that's you don't even know much more. But yeah, I think we did cover this one.
We did. We definitely covered this one.
Yeah. So I not fully sure. I think it says I guess it drops later today. So yeah, we definitely talked about it because I remember seeing like all the letters and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the cat will just randomly come in and mess up your puzzles.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, a cat just being a cat.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, so you want a nice little puzzler. This is the perfect game to just like sit down or just like get your significant other and just like kind of like look at the Switch and just figure find solve all the puzzles and stuff. It's engaging, but it's not super like challenging, you know. So
yeah, I think it's perfect for like all ages.
Yeah. All right. This last game, Sports Story. I'm gonna ask you a question, Mike. From looking at this landing picture here, what do you think this game is like? What do you think this game will play like? Just seeing them. What do you think the art style is going to be? Just looking at the landing picture.
Okay, well, I'm expecting it to be very well rendered 3D images and somewhat similar to Nintendo Sports,
like Switch Sports,
Switch
right?
Sports. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I'm maybe surprised, but I like check this out because I was like, "Ooh, is this like a Switch Sports competitor?" I got like super hyped. All right, this is what it looks like, Mike.
So we got debated.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, there's golf and tennis. Like, I mean, there's sports obviously in it, but yeah, this is dare I say, Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley.
I keep making that comparison, but it's like that's the first thing I think of when I see this art style.
Hey, they got BMX though. I just saw a BMX bike.
Yeah, you're on a bike, dude. But yeah, this is very much like Pokemon-y, like
Oh,
Yeah.
very, yeah.
And low
It should
key,
be on a Game Boy.
that's what I'm saying. Oh man, low key got me really hyped because I like was looking through the list before the show, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, like this got me really hyped." And then I clicked on it, and I was like what? But available in December. You know? But yeah, it says here it's an adventure RPG about sports. Instead of just golf, soccer, and other exciting sports, there's newly added activities including BMX and cricket. You can quest, kickball at the mall, and explore dungeons in a narrative that's about more than just sports. Those sports are a focal point here. Comes out next month. I mean, not my kind of game.
Okay.
But I mean, hey, there's an audience
Yeah, I mean, there's probably an audience.
for
I
sure.
don't know if I'm that audience, but it looks cool. There are a couple here that I'm pretty intrigued by.
Yeah,
What do you think would be the one that like caught your eye?
honestly, I really, excuse me, I really like Blank. I think that art style was super dope. Um,
The monochromatic
yeah,
one,
the monochromatic
the
one.
two.
I really like that. Um, I mean, honestly, I know it kind of doesn't count because that's like a port, but Have a Nice Death looks awesome, and the fact that
Yeah,
that's coming to Switch is like really sick. Um, very happy about that. Um, yeah, I mean, there's not too much else. I think those are definitely my. I mean, Aka, that one just looked. I just thought that was the most adorable. That gets the most adorable award out
yeah,
of the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, so
I like all those as well. I would probably add Oni onto it as well. Oni look kind of
oh
interesting.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but I
I've
think there's definitely something for everyone.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Even Pepper, like which one was it?
Yeah, I think it was Pepper Grinder. Talking
Yeah,
about.
Pepper Grinder.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looked cool
that
too.
that yeah, that was the most interesting platformer I think.
Yeah,
I saw.
I
So
think that's just because we're like big into shooters and fast-paced games.
yeah, and that's
So it's like
definitely
this has our
just
attention.
it's definitely fast paced. Um, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was part of my list.
I feel like that's an overall success for Nintendo on their indie dev showcase. I think it's so cool, man, that like Xbox and Nintendo right now are doing these indie dev showcases and like trying to give notices to indie devs and trying to let them know it's like you don't have to sign and go to these like big publishers to be successful. You can be with us, um, and we'll give you a platform.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, um, Nintendo and Xbox are probably the biggest proponents of like we just love games, right? Like
Yeah,
doesn't matter, what kind of budget you got, what you're working with, like we will we'll support anyone. So um, yeah, it's kind of thing. I was trying to think if Sony has a huge indie initiative. I just don't like. I just nothing comes to mind really, unless I forgot. But I don't know. I just don't see too much of it. I mean, I guess I see some like somewhat indie stuff. Like sometimes in the state of plays, they're more focused on like smaller devs. Um,
they have a. Ooh, that's not good. So I googled it because this is what I do. And I go indie game showcase, and the first thing that hits on my Google is PS4 E3 2013 indie game showcase. And I'm like, 2013?
mm, that's almost a decade, dog.
That's a long time. Why is it not
Long
the
ago.
first thing I hit? So, okay, so July 7th, 2022. Here's everything shown during PlayStation's latest indie dev. Okay, so they're still doing indie game showcases. I just feel like they're not as promoted.
Yeah, I feel like
I guess it's the
I feel like
state of
they're
play.
yeah, I feel like they're just hidden behind the state of play like banner, but I
Yeah.
feel like they should be more like, hey, this is actually like indie focused. Um,
Yeah, I think they should be doing that. Like
yeah,
they should essentially be doing the same thing that Nintendo and Xbox are doing.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Sony, especially with the state of plays, they do a really good job of setting the expectations. So, like, a day or two
That's a
before,
fact.
they'll be like, okay, this is going to be like mostly indie stuff. So, if you're not into that, you may not want to tune in. But yeah,
That's a fair thing to say. Yeah.
yeah,
Their state of plays do hit though.
yeah, they're really
Don't get me
good.
wrong. Don't
Yeah,
get me
dude,
twisted.
this is the thing. I mean, we're one of the things that came out of the pandemic was like proper like showcases where You don't necessarily need to like be in a theater. It's kind of just, you do it wherever. I will say though, like I'm very much looking forward to the Game Awards, which is in a month. And that's,
Yeah.
always seeing that in front of a crowd is awesome. And that experience, like I love that show that Jeff puts on, Jeff Keighley. So um
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Which I think I want to say I'm just gonna be able to see it because I am on vacation like the week before, but I think I get back on the day like I get back on the day that it's supposed to air, so I should be able to catch it. Yeah, yeah, and also we'll have to also talk about some scheduling too because I mean
Yeah, we do. We got
it may be better to do that episode on Friday so we can cover the entirety of the Game Awards, but we'll see. We'll see how things shake
yeah,
out.
there are definitely a couple of things that we need to sort out when it comes to scheduling, just with between you and I,
Yeah,
holidays and stuff, and
yeah,
like being with family, being away from our setups to actually do the podcast and recordings.
yep, exactly. A
But
lot to talk about.
yep,
And that was all
we'll
the
figure
news I
that
had,
out.
Mike. That was all I had this week.
I feel like it was a good week. I feel like a couple of good announcements. Good to hear about new hardware coming out of Razer, and I gotta know what the heck is going on with this like VR 4K integrated
Yep.
Kickstarter because that just screams scam to me.
Dude, Pimax,
Um,
bro. Pimax.
yeah. So who
Oh.
who Megalol? Battlefield 2042 coming to EA Access. I think is probably the biggest one so far.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah, it's
probably the
huge.
biggest topic. There's a couple of pretty awesome Nintendo Indie World showcases. That's pretty sick. So I feel like this week was successful. How are we doing on time for the episode today?
Oh, we're over, baby. I had to break it to you.
Oh, we're over.
We're
All right.
over, dude.
Well, my clock didn't work, so it is what it is. Uh, we'll let the people go. Without further ado, I guess like this is our week in review. We're gonna be back tomorrow. Sorry, next week. We'll be back next week with next week's review, and we'll pretty much see you later. So
Yeah.
I'm your host, Michael Anthony, KyleHeath over here, and without further ado, thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.